So today, in keeping with our, you know, regular theme, it seems lately, of what is an actual predator, because the police and the prosecution and the courts have so badly mangled what this really is. Let's talk about the case of a teacher in Covington, Kentucky, named Alissa McCommon, if I have that right. Let me check here. Alissa McCommon, I'm pretty sure is the name. And Ms. McCommon, yes, that's right, Alissa McCommon, just shy of age 40 years old. Ms. McCommon apparently has an addiction, and her addiction is sex with young people. And I don't know if this is some kind of uh, I don't know. I don't even want to describe it in psychological terms. I'm not a psychologist, unlike probation officers and others who like to tell you that there's something wrong with you. This appears to be somebody who's actually a predator. Um, and my heart goes out to the McCommon family and the family of her upwards of 21 victims. And I say that because, unlike other people who would characterize her, as one parent did here, as uh, a devil, somebody who should, quote, burn in hell, I have sympathy for all sides because I understand that, you know, there is sickness and there are, I don't know anything about McCommon. I don't know her background. I don't know, maybe she was molested as a child, but whatever it was, it caused this teacher, who apparently was by all accounts a rather effective one, a good teacher, to betray her trust with up to 21 kids, one of whom, a 12-year-old boy, she had gotten pregnant by. And the boy's mother is now, unwillingly, to some degree, the step parent of her own grandchild. Certainly not what she had planned. McCommon is up on something like, I think it was 8 or 9 charges, amounting to child endangerment. And in the state of Tennessee, which is very, very tough on people convicted of a sex offense, which she was on December 20th, just a few days ago, she will have lifetime what's called community custody, which is basically a very aggressive form of probation. In the state of Tennessee, you might be aware, I have been told reliably by people in Tennessee that they can enter your home, kick in the door, they can knock on it, beat on it early in the morning, demand that you open it, search your entire house, force you to sit on the lawn in your underwear while they go through everything and brutally demand to know everything you're doing. And of course, everything that they see, they will cast in the worst possible light. Now, what does that mean? Well, I've already told you that you could have pictures of your grandnieces on the mantle, um, in bathing suits at the beach, and because you've been convicted of a sex offense against a minor, even though that has been sitting there for 20 some years, they can hold that against you and incarcerate you. Community custody is a vile, horrible thing. Um, you can understand why it would be in place here, but a lifetime of community custody? How about somewhere in the article talking about the help that this woman might receive for her clear addiction? No, nowhere in there. Instead, calling her names, um, uh, talking about revoking her teaching license, which should have been obvious from the start. But of course, I had to tell the public that. Um, Talking about her victims and characterizing her relationship with these children as rape. And again, it's not that I'm quarreling with the word rape per se, but you have to understand that every state characterizes rape differently. What you and I might think is a violent sexual assault, um, with emphasis on the violent, where sexuality is just, the means to a new violence, um, having to do with kicking, punching, restraint, terrible things. Uh, that is not the way it's described in every state. It's simply an inflammatory term applied to something that would not be recognized as the general by the general public as an actual rape. So I want to make sure people are understanding that, because the state loves throwing around these terms. They know full well what these terms mean. They know full well how incendiary they are. But again, here's an example of somebody who would uh, groom her former students, which, according to the article, ranged anywhere between 12 and 17. This is on, by the way, AOL News in the lifestyle section, so you can check it out there. Yes, I still have an old um, hankering for AOL News, even though it probably dates me a bit. But in any event, on this particular um, program that AOL put out. And again, I look at various other programs across the spectrum to see what many different groups talk about, and AOL will cover things that others don't necessarily cover out. And I think it's part of Huff News, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but you'd be amazed at what you see that's not covered by mainstream media. Is my point. And again, they talk about this woman. They characterize her as somebody who would groom her students, ages 12 to 17, former students. She would play Fortnite with them, which I understand is a popular video game that students enjoy playing. Never played video game. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it bandied about enough that I know it's fairly popular. She would arrange to meet with them. She would, ingratiate herself with the families of people that she was with. Um, I know from experience that families would, from many years ago when I was in Miami, families are very supportive of good teachers. And if you spend a lot of time with their kids, they invite you in to their family. I had a good friend, Mary Machado, who was very old when I met her. And she was, I taught all four of her grandsons, I think it was. Um, the degree of trust in an actual school community, and it is a community of the students, the staff and faculty, and the parents and other children. And it can be a wonderful, warm, and inviting environment, but it can also be an environment where people like Ms. McKimmon can take advantage. And she managed to get herself um, into the families of these people. She spent a lot of time with them. She spent time alone with the children, which again, in and of itself is not a problem. Remember, when we're looking at the grooming techniques, grooming is successful because it starts out with just simple kindness, attention, love. Um, Many children are simply ignored by adults or their concerns brushed aside, but somebody who takes the time, if the police are, of course, are not trying to, massage it into something it isn't, it can be a very important formative event in children's lives. If misused, it can be a nightmare. And who knows how these children will be affected by what this woman did for years to come. And I hope that all of them, including Miss McKimmon, get some hope. But that's what real grooming looks like, folks. That's how it proceeds. That's how it's enabled by a community that's unaware of what's happening. It doesn't happen so much on the dating sites, as the police will lie to you and tell you. It doesn't really happen in the deep and dark web, as I understand it. I've spent no time on it, but in talking to a number of people who are familiar with this process, it happens much more, not in the videos as they're being produced, sadly, but where those videos produced in the home, okay, in among trusted individuals. That's where it happens. And unless you want the police going up and down the block, kicking in people's doors indiscriminately, you're not going to discover this until it comes to some kind of public forum or digital public forum where it's in some kind of, online community in the deep and dark web. You're not going to find it. You're sure as hell not going to find it in adult dating platforms where people go there to find adult hookups, no matter what police tell you. It's simply not going to happen there to the degree. Yes, of course, you can find all manner of strange things that in unlikely places. But the reason police go to these sites is because they have a turnkey, simple, prosecutorially um, approved and judge sanctioned system to rack up their numbers to justify the funding, and everybody along the way, from the police officer, his upline or her uplines, the prosecutorial people, the DA's office, all the way through the judges and into the probation and department corrections, all get a piece of the action. Not to mention the psych services and the ancillary services that, like ankle monitoring and things, they all get a piece of the pie. And not to mention the prison system, which is activated, where you also get the people who overcharge people for the phone calls and for the commissary. And all this leads back to Ms. McCommon. And I wonder, is she going to be left out of the process? Is she really going to get the help that she needs, where she can really get in touch, like Caitlin Grimley did here in neighboring Fauquier County, where she's going to get a quickie 1 year, or did get a quickie 1 year program, whereby she will be able to get back to teaching potentially if somebody does in fact hire her, because she will have a full teaching licensure. And if not here, some other state will hire her because she's not on the naughty list that they share interstate wise, the interstate compact, and therefore somebody will hire her somewhere, maybe in West Virginia, maybe in Maryland, who knows. When you keep that in mind, you have to wonder who the real victims are. It's not just the kids, not just the community. It's maybe Ms. McCommon too. Maybe she needs to get some help. But the system is not designed to really help her, and that's the real tragedy here, is that the system is designed to punish. It is not designed to help people who have an illness. And if you have some kind of an illness, fear of punishment is not going to sway you because you're ill and you're acting out of other motivations. And that's something you never hear about out there. So, for the 26th of December, 2024, have a wonderful day.